Hi everyone. Rick, it's really nice to see you.
Nice to see you, Christina.
So this is our installment 18 conversation, chapters 138 to 147. Nice to see you all. Well, I guess Irene's not made it today at the moment, but
Yeah.
Rick, that was a beautiful prayer, really beautiful. I have never seen a prayer that so seamlessly weaves together body and soul, human and divine. It really touched me. Thank you for that. I shall be using it as a template for other prayers. Well, welcome everyone. Over to you, Rick.
Hi, everybody. Paul, I haven't had the pleasure of meeting you yet. It's nice to meet you.
Same here, Rick. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. I joined last week for the first time, and I knew I was coming back, even though I tested for Christina to get on, but I got on. So here I am.
The link I sent you worked just fine?
You can see I'm here.
Well, no, but we might have had to edit your name. I wasn't here when you
No, everything's fine. It's the way it's supposed to be, and I'm thrilled. Thank you, Christina, for your patience.
Well, if everyone is okay with it, let's start off our session with a message. We have a new message today.
Yeah.
Is everybody okay with that?
Mm-hmm.
I'll send it to you at the end of the session. Okay. There it is. We received this one this morning at 10:04 on the West Coast. It's Mother Mary. I wish to join with you each in celebration of truth. We celebrate love in all of its forms, no matter what disguise may be worn to hide it. Love is everywhere. This is what we celebrate. It is true that your brothers and sisters do not consciously know that love is everywhere. They only see the difficult and the unwelcome. But you each see love where most do not. This is what we celebrate today and every day. If you can see it when it's not apparent, we know that others will be able to also, when it is time for their true vision to be restored and shine through. Love is the content always. It is there, even in the most fearful of forms. Fear is merely a misinterpretation. Love brings fear to the surface for reinterpretation. In love and communion, Mother Mary, your sister in Christ.
Thank you, Rick.
You're welcome. How's everybody doing today?
We're here.
Fine.
Hi, Jacques. Nice to see you. Glad you can be with us again this week. Yeah, it's wonderful.
Hi, Jacques.
Hi. Well, let's affirm that Irene is moving through what she needs to at this particular time. The healing is right around the corner, if not right now.
Amen.
Thank you.
Did anybody have any particular things that you'd like to share about this week's installment?
Just wanted to add to what Bill said before we go on to that and say that whatever is moving through Irene, she is loving and embracing and working through for herself and on behalf of all of us as well as all of everyone. So bless her for that.
Thank you.
Thanks, Christina.
Thank you. Yeah, hi, this is Paula. This week has been, I want to call it a roller coaster. It's been an awakening, with all the turmoil that's going on in the world, that the perceived turmoil. And, the I've been feeling so much fear and anxiety for so many weeks, in when I meet with, friends and family. And it was taking a lot within myself to hold to the positive, to hold to the truth with, what's really going on. And I love the words that come to us through this work because it's so soothing. And, where I might have had my own doubt, I'm reminded constantly that I have the strength and the power. And that helped a lot. And then, seeing the results and whatever the results and knowing, there are people that were angry, people that were happy. And it was like to stay in the middle. Don't question, don't doubt, just trust that what's there is for the higher good. And then when we got this section, there was so much in it. I was just reading over it through the last installment. And the words are so encouraging. And, when they say, you have the power. And that's what I have to hold to. We all have that power, even when we have uncertainty or doubt. And we know our brothers have it too. And that's what hurts sometimes. Well, it hurts. I feel this, like, wake up, wake up. You have it also. So, yeah, it's been a very, I don't want to say trying week. It's been a very enlightening week. It, for me, in my personal journey and journey with my brothers and sisters, that I'll just stand back and I will be there to be a light bringer. That's my function, to bring the light. And it's okay. My light might dim a little bit once in a while, but it's okay. That power comes right back, right back. And that's when I sigh with such a relief, knowing how much I am loved. And that's what the power behind my light is, the love. So that was my week. And now I'm kind of just coasting along in the light. Thank you for letting me share that.
Thank you, Paula. What you said something that reminded me of something too, which is that sometimes you feel like the light isn't there, but it's always there. Maybe there's just a cloud that blocks it, but it's always there. We can count on it.
I'll jump in here. I have found the week has been so amazing with so much movement, so much going on. And I can get excited quite easily. So I have to sit here and be calm. But the light is downloading. There's been so much that we've been taught through this whole election, how we see things. There's been so much unveiling on my own eyes. Like how much deeper can we go? But can we even plumb the depths of knowing and into the unknown, right? I love Mary's message of love. On Saturday, I was sharing with Judy a little bit, and the prayer, the message that had come in that day, I don't know if that was the one of where love prevails. That we had, I can't even, there's so much, I can't keep anything straight, really. So I don't even know where to begin, but I love today's message about love, because that's where we have to stay grounded. And I loved that message. It says, only love is real. So go ahead and ask the question, is this love? And I thought, oh my God, that's so simple. And what went resounding through my body was, any questions? Because if we ask that question, is this love? it can't get simpler than that in a way, right? It's either yes or no. Well, I guess that could depend on how we see things and perception, but love, we're usually in that place of joy. It's a really happy place for me. It's that place of shared consciousness. It's that place of being, knowing I'm grounded in source. And I know that's so easy to forget. You wake up in the morning and I do meditation, I do prayer, I jump downstairs into a cup of coffee, and I can forget so soon, so quickly, just over maybe getting a Facebook thing that I don't like, and I'm thinking, wait a minute, okay, already here we go, right? I need to look at that. But the other thing for me, with the election now being over, maybe, is watching the whole process, and then coming to the end that or the result that it came to. It made me happy, and it didn't make some happy. And like you just said, Rick, it doesn't matter what love looks like. I mean, what it made me understand is, regardless of those appearances of what was representing one or the other, it made me get out of the divide. It helped me, this whole process, that it's not one or the other. There is no other. But also it helped me to see, I have been, all these messages we have been getting about our brain and its thinking. So I've been doing some reviewing on, the artificial thought, and the body and the elevation of form. It reminded me that all the systems we have created that are coming up, that are bubbling up for us to see the darkness of them or how they can't work, is because we've created them in a place of separation. And I'll just quote this from Course of Love. It's the body and the elevation of form. I think it's the fourth treatise, and it's chapter 6. So 6, verse 8. What is not real are the things that you have made to represent what is real. Since you didn't understand what it was you were making things to represent, we're living in separation. These are the systems we have already spoken of. Systems of justice, systems of government, systems of corporations, the systems of economics and science, the systems, in short, of what you think governs you. Of what you think governs you. So, and when we review thought, and the Course of Love tells us not to think. It says, quit thinking. Your thinking is stinking, right? Quit thinking. And so I've had to review a lot of these chapters where it shows us, and especially talking about the brain, and the brain's jamming up your airways, and the human brain tries to understand others as best they can. So I was just taking all of this stuff and sitting with it, and then reviewing thought in the human body. And it's just been so much clearer. And everything I've got underlined, I've now highlighted. And I think, what was I even understanding then? Because I wasn't getting it to the level that I'm understanding now with 2020 hindsight, but looking back from where journey has taken us forward. So one of the chapters even Jesus uses Mari. He doesn't name her. He calls her the receiver of this. Those weren't her thoughts, but yes, they were. Didn't come from her brain. They came from that shared territory. What's the chapter on where it asks us to be the little tiny dot and then imagine around us that, to get into
It's in
that
the
place.
dialogues. It's in the dialogues. I think chapter 5 or 6. We just read it, right, Reverend Bill?
I don't memorize these things. So, but there is that chapter where Jesus leads us through this little exercise where he asks us to be a tiny dot. And then there's the space around us. And he says, now get out of that tiny dot and you're in this shared territory. And that's where our thoughts come from. They're in that shared, they come from the heart, not the brain, right? But I've just been going through all this, like, and honestly, guys, sometimes I think, can I even comprehend all of this stuff? Do I really get it? Am I? So, but I'm loving Journey because it is straightforward and so simple. And it's best for me not to try and memorize and try and quote things. I try not to use my brain I try not to use it as much as I can. What I have to say, what did I read this morning about being insane? And it is sane to know the truth. It is insane not to know the truth. And if we're in the brain and in that thinking, we're not usually in the truth. So that helps. I mean, we've always known the world we see out there in the separated state is definitely the insanity, although we think it's what we see with what the eyes perceive as true. I mean, that's where we started out with A Course in Miracles, correct? So anyway, I don't know if I've made any points. I don't know if I've made any sense. I don't know if I've unconfused me more by just putting so much of what I have been understanding, feeling, and feeling the light, the download of the light, and just Journey makes it all simple for me. I love it. I've got a page, like we could talk on every chapter for an hour, which we can't do here. So I think I've taken up my time, and I'm going to let you others speak and share. Thank you for listening.
Well, thank you, Lorraine. And I'd like to chime in here. And Paul, I'm going to apologize in advance because I think you've been hearing me ranting and rave about this recently as well. As you were speaking about the dot and the circle around it, chapter 8 in the dialogues is awareness beyond the power of thought, something to that effect. But awareness beyond the thought is the key to it. Light went on for me yesterday as I read through that particular chapter. And two items jump out that I'll reiterate here. First of all, that in the midst of the section, he speaks of the treatises serving a purpose of completing where we have been, completing what we have been using. Since the art of thought is brought to us to begin to get beyond our process of learning. He spoke of the same thing about unity and a personal self, that each of those treatises are intended to let us see where we've been with that and to move beyond that, to be able to be open to the new. And then the fourth treatise, of course, has given us the creation of the new. So I really appreciated seeing that and how that fit, because in the later part of that chapter, he is now making the distinction between idea and thought, right? Pointing out that the thoughts, of course, are what we have made and what we've used on an ongoing basis, or the systems that we've put in place that are revolving around thoughts. Ideas always existed. Ideas always were. Always. And in that, I remembered from A Course in Miracles, page 315 to be specific, in the FLP version, where there's a comment in there that says that whether you understand it or not, you do know deep within that God is an idea. What you find uncomfortable is that you are an idea as well. And when I saw that in the Course in Miracles years earlier, I took it to a group who I'd been studying with for years, and we spent a weekend together, and part of that, we took time to reflect on that, to recognize that I guess the way that I would say it now is, yes, I have a body and I am not my body. And yes, I have thoughts, but I am not my thoughts. I am an idea of God. I am the divine extension of God. And in that message there, I bring this back to the chapters we've been reading this last week in the letters as well. Speaking of love, speaking of giving love, that's our role, to simply give love in whatever form it can be given and whatever form it can be received.
Yeah, that I understand every word you say, and I get that. And I'm glad you brought it to love, because what Journey has done, it's calling us to be love. It's calling us to act love. And it's just makes it so much more simple that I don't have to figure it all out and think about it anymore. And, you know, even that process that I was trying to explain about, you know, the systems, we got to remember what governs us, the law of love, the law of, but even reading Christina's posts lately, she's always reminding me just what you said. You know, I'm both my thoughts and I'm not my thoughts. I'm both my body and I'm not my body. And I'm both part of that system and I'm both not that system when we're wholehearted in. And Journey, it just makes it so much simpler for me. And I think it's because of Journey that I'm like I said, if I'm going to try and articulate back to you everything I've read and what it means, it's like speaking French. I can understand some of it, but I can't talk to you in it. You know, I can understand you when you talk to me in it somewhat, Jacques, not 100%, but I could not articulate back to you in that language. So for my brain, that's when I say my brain sometimes it doesn't even matter, because it tells us not to let the brain jam up those airwaves, right? Airwaves, I think it does use that word. So, but it's Journey that just makes my heart sing and fills me with so much joy. And that's
Journey. I'm going to jump in and say,
yes, go ahead.
I totally get what you're saying, because Journey weaves the whole experience together. That's what Journey is doing for me. And you're saying that. You just said it in different words. You're saying it weaves it all together. There is no separation. It weaves together every idea we learned in A Course in Miracles, every poetic knowing that A Course of Love brought to us, asking us to unite and join our hearts and minds in wholeheartedness. All of those are we woven together. And the art of thought is that weaving together. It is completely being, I mean, Bill's right, we are not the body, but we have a body. And through the body's senses is one of the steps in the art of thought, which is laid out in 4 very clear steps, which you don't have to know 1, 2, 3, 4, because you just do it. But it's the body, the heart, the mind, woven together is the Christ mind. It is the soul in charge. And so I just want to backtrack, and thanks for mentioning that post. I mean, it's about both and this has been present, a theme for me. It's been present this past week. And when I put the Journey this installment 18 up on the website, I always, not the website, on the Facebook pages, I always look for a theme. And the theme that was absolutely clear was union. So the quotes I selected were from A Course in Miracles, A Course of Love, and Journey. And it was all about union, cause and effect as one, cause and effect. And on that note, with the election for me, I found myself in this very weird place of being like just even, completely neutral, not being able to get excited as my sons and daughters-in-law were texting, oh, the results are coming in. I'm not even looking at any of it. The only time, and there's been the only time, and this kind of, in a way, is telling, because that's when the tears began, and they haven't really stopped, was the moment when Kamala Harris began to speak. And the reason, and I just texted them and said, what a moment this is. Not because of winning or anything like that, because she was a personification to me of unity in her very body itself, that she doesn't have to be either Black or Indian, she is both. And my children are such because my husband is English, and my granddaughters know that. And to watch them, they sent me a video immediately of the kids clapping and sitting there, and because they feel that. These children know that. And it's just gone on like that for me. I reached out to my Republican friends, you know, I just, it's neither celebrating nor dissolving in the grief they feel and the fear they feel. It is somehow holding that middle ground. And you know, Paula talked about being a light bearer, well, and the giving of love. And for me, it's like the analogy that popped into my head as I was listening to all of you is with these newfangled iPhones. There's this crazy thing you can do, and I suppose you can do it with other phones, but I don't know about them, where you can just airdrop things between phones by holding them close together. Photographs, contacts, messages. You just hold the phone and you click on it and boom, it appears on the other person's phone. And that's how love works, being the example, being the presence. I think somewhere in Journey it talks about proximity can be important at times, but it isn't always. It isn't always important. But if you are the proximity and you know is there, because it's quantum. It's not. There's quantum entanglement. Time falls on itself. So you know, every speck counts. So yeah, and today is the so-called Scorpio 1111 gateway. I have just been in tears most of the morning, and my own remnants of bitterness coming up, things that you know. And so writing those posts, the post you talked about, the both and post where I showcased 3 people, Marianne Williamson, Anand Varadas, and John Mackey, all of them controversial people, you know, reviled in many ways, loved in many ways. But that's because they live and embody an authentic version of love in their own way. Fierce love, gentle love, all of it rolled into one. And so that's what it's about for me. And I'm just really glad Journey has made it so plain and so clear. There is no need for thought. It's just, you know, knowing and coming to know, as A Course of Love calls it. Coming to know knowing until we know in the moment. That's it. So thank you. I took up all my time.
Christina, in the midst of your sharing, I recognize the shift that's occurred for me is moving to a place, a context of simply being in a state of love. That is a ground of being to watch everything come up against or come through, or to be able to be seen through. And that for me has happened a few times at different places and different messages, different insights that comes in effect my ground of being at that time. And I feel like this combination of this week of watching the different events and the different experiences, and then coming to this, if you will, of recognizing that I exist as the idea of God, as I was told a long time ago, that is sinking in once again. I know that's made a shift for me, and I'm very excited about that, very enthusiastic. And as far as the election process, I think I shared last week that I I got to a place of just being unattached. And liked the outcome. However, I also recognize that we're here for something bigger, which we're in the middle of. And whatever the outcome was, we would still be after this. We would still be after this means of extending love. And I will share too that Sunday or Saturday evening, I heard Kamala and then Joe. There were goosebumps. There was a feeling of enthusiasm that I really appreciated. Just a shift. And the last time I remember that was waking up the morning after Obama had been elected. But anyway, so that's about it for me. I'm complete. Thank you. Yeah. Thanks for that insight, Christina.
I like the dancing in the streets. I liked all the cities, really, the people coming out and dancing and celebrating and really I talk about contrast. We have those that are celebrating, really feeling a sense of freedom and a pressure release. That's me. I mean, I actually slept until 8:15 the other morning. I am usually up now at 3:30. And I woke up, thank God, in time before my 8:30 class call. So, but I couldn't believe that I woke up and what it was a couple things. It was the process being over. Trump doesn't think it's over, but being over. And I guess actually what probably cinched the deal for me is the fact that no matter how many times they recount, it's not going to change. And so, I just don't even pay attention to that stuff anymore. But yeah, that release of that, and to see everybody dancing in the streets and talk about the 60s being revisited, and we need that kind of energy again. It's really true. We really do. We really need to come together with that kind of togetherness and sharing in a joyful way. And, so I was really glad to see all of that.
I'd like to speak about my new perception of compassion. Let's see if I can put it together. Now that I'm fairly free from any type of worry or preoccupation, I feel compassion with every moment, every person that I see suffering, but it's not entering and being sad for their suffering. It's just being compassionate, loving, at ease with all the suffering and all the fighting and the poor people with their mask on and all of that. Now that I'm fairly free to love all the time, compassion is just there at all times. It doesn't come up and go down or change or move. It's there currently at all times. I feel loved and compassionate, naturally. There is no effort, there is no having to do it. It's just there at all times. And I'm just loving that feeling of being compassionately loving at all moments. It may be strange for a lot of people who are suffering, but I don't know directly any suffering. Thank you.
Well, I'll just, Lorraine and Kevin, I had sent out a prayer to everyone from Christina's list about Irene, and your emails came back. I sent it again and it came back again. And for some reason, if you would be so kind to send me an email just to see if I can get back to you on that. I don't know why that is, because I've sent Lorraine things before. So
Yeah,
Kevin, did you get the email from me this morning, Kevin?
yeah, I did get it from you, and I think
First
yeah,
time
no,
or the second time?
can't
I said
remember.
Twice,
just-
because it bounced, yeah.
Yeah, because it was funny. Yeah, thank you for. Yeah, there could be something wrong with my email. Let me check.
And Lorraine, it also bounced with you, and I sent it the second time, so
I got it the second time, but not
Okay.
the first time.
I'll bet you got it the second time.
Because with Jude, I was trying to. Jude, I said, funny you mentioned that because I was trying to find your picture of the chair that you sent through, your painting a few weeks ago. And I couldn't find it. I said, what happened to that chair? You know,
I'm sitting in it.
here now in my living room, and I have the picture of God's chair in the living room.
I couldn't find the chair. I don't know why. It just came up in my mind this morning. I got to find. I'm going to look at that chair again, have a proper look at it.
Jamuna,
because,
can you hear me? Sorry, I
yes.
interrupted you, Kevin. Jamuna, are you there? We haven't.
Yamuna, yeah.
Jamuna? Well, welcome if you can hear us. We can't hear you, so never mind. Sorry, Kevin, go ahead.
So yeah, let me double check on that. But the thing is, just as you were speaking today, the thing that as you were speaking about journey was that, yeah, I mean, when I choose my moments so they just come up when I read journey. You know, I always have to find a space when I can read, 3 or 4 of the chapters, and it's always read in a very. I don't have to go into any kind of deep breath and meditation. It's almost like it lands very calmly with me the way it's written. But just something that came up for me, and it's just was it the few words about spreading seeds indiscriminately. It mentions in one of the chapters, and yeah, it just something kind of came up for me on that, when I was walking along the other day, and I just thought, yeah, you can even if you have nothing, you always have something to give. You always have something to give. And one little story just to share about, as you were saying, about communion and union with you just mentioned that word communion, union. Christina, as I was in the health shop today, and there's a young lady that sometimes I talk to, and we started talking, and we started talking about. She just started talking about that there was an elderly person that came in the other day, and she offered a discount to that person, and the person refused it. It was indignant, that you offer me a discount, and the person was very well dressed, and she she just thought that was strange, and so I asked her for a discount, and she said, "You don't look elderly." I said, "Well, I'm 60, so can you get me in there?" And I said, "I have no problem." I said, "I have no problem taking a discount from anything, So we just started joking, and then she's mentioned about something about a little girl, that a little girl was upset, and that her teacher wasn't giving her. I was upset with the teacher because she wasn't getting some validation from her teacher. She was only a young girl, about 6 or 7, she was telling me, and she said that the girl was a little bit, upset and disturbed by this, and so he's just, as I listened to her, and then I remember saying to her that we started talking about whatever it was that this was and then the little girl then gave her mum drew a picture to her mum, because her mum says, you don't need, something about you don't need to be validated. You're beautiful. You don't need to be validated by the teacher. You're already, and I remember just telling the mum, what a beautiful thing that so early on in the message was that early on this little girl was seeing that the love goes hot and cold out there. Really, you're looking out there for love, and at such a young age, and that she has a mum like you that that even the husband, she said, didn't get it, but she said that she was able to tell something to tell her daughter that that, you know, the love, you're the bringer of love here. And whatever it was, the little girl responded and drew a picture and sent it to her mum. And for me, it was beautiful, because I just thought that there's some little girl very early on discovering that, within a kind of awake mom, discovering that love it is out there, but you have to find it in yourself initially. And but there you are in a supermarket, as it explained in these journey, that you're in a supermarket, and they're not just supermarket, you're not just buying groceries. You know, you have these encounters that can be, you can miss them, but actually, and you're not going out there kind of consciously, I suppose, expecting these situations to happen, and they always take you by surprise. I think these kind of beautiful moments. So it was just a moment of, and I realized that, you know, you can be there with someone else, just sharing something very deep and personal at such a level in a supermarket. And a little girl is, what a good start in life, that she's maybe of a hard lesson with the teacher, but, you know, not being validated, but there she had someone that was and aware. The mother was aware. I mean, the mom said that the father didn't really get it, but, you know, there's someone sharing that with you. So it's wonderful, isn't it, really, when you can sow seeds. They're sowing seeds indiscriminately, and it can all be missed just because I'm you know, and we initially talking about discounts, and where a conversation on getting discounts can go, you know. So, thank you.
Yeah, one of the chapters tells us whatever we do, whatever we think we're doing, you know, the event or the thing is not the primary thing. We're not, if we go to the grocery store, the primary thing isn't we're going there to get groceries. We are going as the love we are. We are representatives of the light. That's first and foremost for all of us, right? So that's so beautiful. But like you say, Kevin, you know, we have to remember that and see that I try to smile and always express, you know, be an expression of love, however it's called for in the moment, right? But sometimes I'll be out there and I'm thinking, oh, I just passed that person on the river and I forgot to smile, or I forgot to say, hi, how are you doing today? Like I probably caught up in thoughts somewhere, right? But yeah, that is in one of our chapters, I think, of primary, going to the grocery store, I think it was. Your primary purpose of going there is not to get those groceries. The other, another chapter too that I did want to mention that I like, which one was the one? And I thought it's like the new 10 Commandments. Has love, and it's got teach, and it's teaching 10 times. It's just the one big verse, I think. It's one or two. And where demonstrate who you are. Oh, demonstrate who you are. I thought that might be the grocery one, but it's not. So, but there is one, I'm sure it was this time.
144.
Oh, here it is. Yeah, it's 140. And I've even named it the 10 Commandments, because it says, how do you raise children in the truth of their being? And Kevin, your story has probably brought this to mind, but start off by always letting them know that they are loved no matter what. Right?
Mhm.
No matter what.
I kind of skipped that chapter because I don't have any children.
So it's right there. And then it
You
goes
are
on.
the child.
Yeah, we're all children.
We're all children.
That was my mind.
We're all
My
children.
mind got involved there. Sorry about that.
I can't believe you skipped it because you don't have children.
Yeah, I skipped it because I don't have any kids. It doesn't apply to me.
It's one whole story, Kevin.
Absolutely.
It's all about you.
Yeah, we
Kevin,
can't
all the people
separate
you
any
invite
of
are
this stuff.
children. Kevin, I
But-
invite all of the people in your life are your children.
Yeah, all of us. We're all children.
Right.
Children of
Praise
God,
God.
no matter what our age in this, in this.
Yeah.
There's a woman talking to me about her daughter, and I'm thinking, oh my God. Oh, I have to go and read that chapter. Thank you. Bring that
Yeah.
up.
Love your neighbors, love your children, love thy child. Go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, I kind of go through my day when things kind of like a situation like you had, or, when something's really prominent. There's no coincidence. It's supposed to be happening this way. And at that point, we're teaching, we're learning, we're giving and receiving. We don't even realize it, like you said, with a smile, with a word, or, or someone is, like looking sad. It's a constant. It's a constant. It's like you don't have to stop. Like, yes, you'll have those moments when it's like I walked in today, I was all tired and the phone rang and it was somebody that I know that I do a call with. And she needed someone to speak to. So I dropped everything and I made myself available. And that, to me, she gave me the greatest gift. And she thanked me. Thank you for listening. That's what I needed to hear. And I said, no, I needed to hear. And, I keep going to this one part and I had to repeat it. It's, I think, see, now I lost it. I had it all nice planned. It was two of the chapters that spoke to me, and this one had one that was so perfect because they used words that it's been coming to me in so many ways the last couple of days, and these 4 simple little words: what's within is without. I've been getting that message so prominent the last couple of days. Here it is: identify with the light field means that you know that as within, so without is a true spiritual principle. You will always be provided by the universe. If something happens to your car and you need a car, to do our collective work, a car will be provided to you. And that's so true, like when we stand back and say, every time, anything, any situation, you'll always have what you need to do God's work. If this, all the chapters speak to me, but there's some that speak so much deeper. It's because I need to hear it at that time. I need to hear it. And I know that so within is without. So, and that's when we have those encounters like you had, Kevin. You were supposed to be there. You were supposed to listen. And maybe just 1 or 2 words be said. And we have no idea what our role is at the time. That's how I feel. But when you're bringing love into a situation. Thank you for letting me say that. Thank you.
Yeah, it's like, Paul, you don't know, sometimes you don't know how you're touched or who you're touching, really. You might never know it.
That's right. I always use a terminology, and I've used it for years. Think of a petal that you drop into a pond, and those rippling effects that go out and out and out and out. You just don't know.
It's beautiful.
It's that always, when I see that happening, you just throw that petal into a pond. And see that.
Yeah,
That's why the photograph that began the whole installment was.
Yeah.
That's why that the picture I'm talking about.
Yes.
The water, blue water with ripples and stars and reflection.
We have no idea.
That's
none. But we know we're here for a purpose, and that's the key. I know I have a purpose.
Every second, every thought, every word, every deed.
Right.
To that and to what Lorraine was just speaking of, the example given in the chapters of going into the store with that being the secondary purpose, the first purpose being, I would say, relationship. And that store example is but a microcosm of our entire being, our entire existence. Can we see that? Can we accept that? That recognize that whatever we're involved in, whatever situation comes up, whatever it is, even driving down the road, this is a relationship. Can we include that, integrate that into what's unfolding? See that first and foremost. I gave a invocation prayer at the City of Hemet's City Council meeting last night, and in preparing for it, I ended up, saying during the time for people to recognize that, to thank them for what they're doing, what they're offering, and to recognize God is within every one of them. Maybe they just be open in their hearts and their minds to what is theirs to give, to offer. Felt pretty good to walk out feeling that energy of having just left that in that, again, relationship. Thank you. I'm complete.
Yeah, it's really about being love, being a witness to love, and testifying to love. And you did exactly that, Kevin, in that you were witnessing and also a testament to it, just being there. So nothing can be more beautiful than that.
And I got a 5% discount for the 60 plus, which I've never got before. And I thought, this is the first discount I've got at that age. So I thought, great. It's payback with the love, you receive and you give. And
Mm-hmm.
God said, yeah, Kevin, this is my gift to you. It's a discount.
just the receiving bit, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What we give, we get, you know that. The more you give out, the more you get back.
Back.
Rick, you've been quiet. How are you? Hey.
I'm doing fine. I've been enjoying listening to everybody. So my job that I've had the past couple of years, it ends the day after tomorrow on Friday, and then I start a new job on Monday. So there's a lot of uncertainty going on with me, and I'm kind of just learning to just embrace all of these changes and not knowing, which is uncomfortable for me. I wish that I did know more. I know practically nothing about this new job. So, but I'm excited about it, and that's what's going on with me.
So it's a journey into the unknown.
It is.
Yes.
Mary and Jesus and all the cadre of souls are saying, Rick, so you got this, right? All right, here, go for it.
And there are two purposes there, Rick.
Yeah, to bless everybody I come in contact with. That's the first one. And then whatever it is I'm doing is just secondary. So I've been trying, there's been a lot of conflict at my school that I'm leaving. And I've been trying to talk to people about seeing the situation differently, like between the union and the administration. There's a lot of conflict and hurt feelings. And, those kind of things are uncomfortable, but at the same time, they do give us an opportunity to grow. And it would be nice if everything was just perfect and lovely all the time with our relationships, but they're not like that. Because sometimes the real tough relationships are an opportunity for us to see each other differently, and to see ourselves differently too. So I'm sure that there'll be things like that happening at the new job too.
I was just thinking how interesting, Rick, that the name of the organization is Union, Teachers Union. And it is a conditional union in that sense. And yet the work is to bring union, to all parties. So it's interesting. There it is. Those clues are everywhere.
one of our chapters this week, I wish that I knew about this back when I was a teenager. It talked about, not caring about what people think about you and say about you. And I wish I knew so long ago, I mean, that really doesn't matter, because it does matter to so many people, and it mattered to me. And I spent so much time suffering over that, years and years and years. So I wish I knew that back then, but I guess I wasn't ready for it.
I don't think most of us are way back when, because we, like A Course in Miracles kind of tells us we have to learn who we're not, right? Before we get ready to get out of that separated way of being where everything mattered that was on the outside, or how we were perceived, right? And we have been evolving, but growing in consciousness and more light for us through the work we've been doing with the courses, and coming to this place of Christ consciousness, where we are learning what is true about us, right? And those things never mattered, but we weren't able to understand that at that time. It's like when Jesus tried to spread his radical message of love, the collective consciousness couldn't receive it yet. They weren't ready for it. So it's the readiness on our part too, to receive, right, and to grow, to jump onto the path of love, right? But as you said earlier, Paula, there's no coincidence. There's no coincidence. We had to learn those lessons in order to be sitting here, right? To be in this moment right now. It's all good. It's both and it's all of it woven together, eh, Christina?
I was just thinking as you were talking that it's like, forget collective consciousness. My parents were doing the best they could, and they marinated me in I'm not okay the way I am in every way, physically, emotionally, intellectually.
Right. Separated.
So bless them
consciousness,
is
eh?
all I can say. And the legacy is that, I have done a little better with my children, and they're doing better with the grandchildren. And so it goes.
That's how it does.
And this chapter that Kevin skipped reading, Kevin, is a very, very important chapter. What are we teaching? And it's not just children anyway, it's everything, everything we do.
Yeah.
So thank you for that.
Yeah, there's 10 injunctions there in that how to raise our children. So I thought maybe I'd adopt them as the new 10 commandments. They were a reminder.
But they could be used, not only with children as a parent to a child, it could be a friend to a friend,
Absolutely.
Yeah, like you said, it's like could be commandments that you could share, even in adulthood. There are still some people that want to hear these things. You're okay. Look at yourself. Stop hurting yourself. And that's what we remind them. That's what we're there for. So,
and the young ones are showing. The young ones are showing the grown-ups. I've learned so much from my children. And
greatest teachers.
Fortunate I actually came across a book, and the title of it was interesting. It was actually sort of written by a person who was in the Christian faith, and the title was Whole Child, Whole Parent, in that order, quite deliberately. Wow. Child comes whole and makes the parent whole. And I'm seeing that even more greatly and powerfully in my grandchildren.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Our teachers come in every shape and form.
Bye, Judy.
Judy, you're leaving. Nice to see you. Bye.
I have one.
Go ahead, Bill.
Just real briefly, I talked about this a couple of weeks ago, but this Friday I'm going to have a meeting with a group of ministers and leaders within our community to address racism, to address beginning to work on dismantling, doing what we can to dismantle racism. And clearly from this, I recognize that I'm going into that group to develop relationships. and then secondary, come up with a format or what we're going to be offering throughout our community. And I've not done anything like this before, and I don't feel like I'm even the most qualified within that, at least in my thoughts here. And yet it's been in my heart to bring this forward. I have some news next week on that. Thank you.
Very good. Well, everybody, we're just past 3 o'clock on the West Coast, and thank you for joining us. Christina, thank you for all the work that you've done to put this out into the world.
Oh, yeah.
It's beautiful. It's so beautiful, and so much work went into it. So thank you very much.
Oh, thank you, Christina.
Thank you
Thank
for
you,
the
Christina.
jewel of the content. The content is the jewel, and the rest is window dressing
Yeah.
for the experience of
Content.
it, you know? It's the presentation. Yeah, content is there.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rick.
And thank you all for accepting me into your community. Thank you.
Have an awesome week, everybody. We'll see you next
Yeah.
week.
Next
Bye.
week.
Thanks.
Everyone.
Namaste.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Jacques. Bye,
Bye.
Kevin.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, Paula,
Bye now.
Bye.
and Shamuna, and bye, Christina.
Aloha.
Love you guys. Bye.